Hello, lavender vibes people. So this will be my first Tarotscope ever, so we'll see how it goes. If you hear my husband munching on snacks in the background, don't mind him. So, just to introduce myself, I am Riel of Riel Life, and I'm going to start with Aquarius because I'm an Aquarius. So let's see. I've been typically using 3 different decks for my readings lately. I've been doing the Rider-Waite deck, the Tarot of the Spirit deck, and Indigo Angel Oracle cards. Usually I'll do those at the end, just for a little emphasis, clarification. So I guess we'll start with the Rider-Waite cards. Usually they give you the most traditional readings. You don't have to always read them so traditionally, but they just have archetypes that are classic. So we'll start with those. Aquarius this month. Let's see. How have you been feeling? Aquarius is an air sign. We are upon the eve of a Gemini full moon. Gemini also being an air sign. I spent a lot of time with air signs this weekend. My sister is a Gemini. Her friend is also an Aquarius. So I have a lot of those air sign vibes going on. A lot of conversations being had with the thinking sign. The sign that we can tend to overthink sometimes, but it's really, we have no other way of doing things. We gotta overanalyze the fuck out of things. That's just the way we are. And I've been doing that a lot lately, and I've been having to be really soft with myself to not trap myself in my own words, in my own thoughts, in my own cage of anxieties. I don't know, sometimes I get tired of thinking too much, and I don't really know how to turn it off, so it gets really hard. I'll have to consciously think about not thinking. That's like really ironic, but I'll have to take moments where my husband will often ask me, what are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking right now. I just want to know what you're thinking. And I'll have to be like, honestly, right now, I'm trying to not think. I'm trying to make an effort to stop thinking. I think too much. It's really exhausting. My lymph nodes, in my neck have been super swollen. I don't know if that has to do with me talking too much or just needing to detox. Like, sometimes we just hold on to too much toxic shit. We can have a lot of toxic thoughts, and that doesn't just affect our minds, that can really affect our bodies too. So you have to be mindful, not using your mind too much. I don't know, it's hard. It's a balancing act. But Aquarius, I think there was recently an Aquarius moon. It's funny, because Aquarius gets a bad rep for being, maybe I guess not in touch with their feelings, or cold, kind of cold. I never saw that in myself because I'm really emotional, but I think that comes with me being a Cancer moon, so super feely, super wavy, super watery, can't really hide their feelings. But then the part of that Aquarius aloofness that I can get stuck in is usually not expressing my emotions to other people. I can feel them, I can think about them, I can write about them all day long, but I won't be able to talk about them or express them in a way that I feel like people will understand. Or not even like having to explain it, just being able to say it out loud, like being able to share your thoughts with other people, be able to share your feelings. I'm lucky that I'm married and I can just tell my husband all these things and then I feel like I'm being heard. A lot of people don't have that always, or they don't have someone to practice on. I have a lot of practice with him, but it is very hard for me to just open up to anyone, to really tell people how I'm feeling, which I think tarot helps with that a lot. Like, tarot has helped me tell myself a lot of things, tell other people a lot of things that I want to say to them that maybe will come off as harsh, because I don't know, the cards can be they can be harsh, but they can be very forgiving, because they always come in an air of suggestion, you know, an air of advice, no matter how hard the things are to face that the cards may be bringing up. They always have like a little moral to the story. So yeah, it's good to surround yourself with people that you feel comfortable sharing these things with, or feel comfortable doing tarot with. I know I probably wouldn't have made so many strides in my, you know, personal journey this year if it wasn't for tarot. Tarot really was there for me this year, and all my friends that do tarot, those have been the people that have been there for me the most. And it just, when there are things that are hard to say out loud, the cards will say for you, and they act as like a jumping off point for you, like a mirror. Sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror, but you know, tarot gives you little glimmers of what you're trying to see in yourself, trying to face in yourself, and that's helpful, I think. Really helpful. But that being said, sometimes it's really hard for me to read my own cards. You know, I met a woman recently that told me I shouldn't read my own cards. That really upset me. I always read my own cards. I read my cards probably every day. My coworkers know this. I sit there at my desk, and they'll hear me shuffling. I usually have a spread out that I'll have sit there for the whole day. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to do my reading. It's not very instantaneous sometimes. It takes a lot of self-reflection, and for that to happen, you know, you can't really force it. I know we sort of live in a generation that's instant gratification all the time. So sometimes you just have to sit with things. So that's a good recommendation. I like to pull cards sometimes and let that spread sit. Let it feel, you know, let it, I don't want to say fester, that sounds like it's like molding, but, you know, let it grow into itself. Let it speak to you in its own time. Sometimes it takes time. But that being said, days that you feel like you're not getting a good reading, put the cards down. Don't force yourself. Sometimes it's not right. It's not the right time. Sometimes you're not ready. You know, always practice self-compassion. And if the cards are stressing you out, then don't use them. They're not supposed to stress you out. I like to think of anxiety as a reminder to breathe. Anxiety, it's key to figuring out the parts of yourself that are bothering you so that you can address them. But if things are causing you anxiety because you're forcing them, let it go. Pause. Just never try to force things. But you do want to challenge yourself to, you know, getting deeper, so you can really think about things that you're avoiding, mostly. But at the same time, always practice self-compassion. Always, you know, gauge yourself. Keep a good eye on your energy levels. Just don't overdo it. Especially if you're an Aquarius. Especially if you are beating a dead horse all the time about these things that you're thinking about. Sometimes you just, yeah, you want to tell somebody, I'm not ready to be so harsh with myself right now. I don't want to keep hearing these sharp tongue thoughts that keep spitting at me. It's okay to ignore them sometimes. Just have to practice self-compassion. Okay. Let's see what we have. So, like I said, this is Aquarius, so let's focus on the sharpest points, these 2 points right here. Aquarius tends to trap themselves in their thoughts sometimes, being a little too harsh on themselves, being a little too caught up in the anxieties of being able to say out loud or to yourself, over-explaining things, over-analyzing things. Because lately I've been doing that. I'll overanalyze a situation between somebody that I know, or try to assume that I know what they're thinking or that I know their intentions, and then realize, like, wow, that was really mean. Like, that was really judgmental. I tend to have these conversations with myself about people judging me, and then I get really defensive. Oh, this person's judging me. Let me judge them 10 times as hard. I tend to do that, and which is so counterintuitive, and then it makes me just feel really bad. I mean, you don't want to force yourself to feel guilty about things all the time, but you also have to recognize when you're just kind of being a bitch. And I know Aquarius can get a bad rap for sometimes doing that. That's what this card is right here, the Queen of Swords. Oof. That's the cold-hearted bitch card. And, you know, we're super capable of that. We're super capable of that. But it's because we're always caught in this, I have to be right. I have to intellectually figure out this situation, and if I can do this and value my explanation over compassion, then sometimes you can do that. But you want to have both. You want to be compassionate, and you want to be smart about what you're thinking. But you can't. You gotta use the water and the softness of recognizing that other people have emotions too. You know, you can't overanalyze things and just keep it in the mental realm. You gotta consider the emotions. I think that helps with me being such an emotional person, that I have a lot of empathy because I feel a lot of things. So you gotta just find the balance between knowing and feeling. You can't always be right. Sometimes there's no right. I get really frustrated sometimes especially when I get into political debates about what's right and what's wrong. Oh God, what's right and what's wrong? What's left, what's right, what's progressive, what's conservative? Like, those things are so blurry these days, so blurry. I can't really answer that question anymore. And so, you know, sorry if these cards in reverse. I'm reading from my perspective, but I'll turn them over so you can see. But the Emperor is, you know, the structures that are put in place, whether it's the law, rules your dad used to put on you as a child, school teachers telling you to sit down, you know, having to wait for like a blinking light to cross the street, even if there's no cars around. Sometimes that's fucking frustrating. Like, I just want to cross the street. Sometimes you just want to cross the street and you don't have to listen to the rules. And so I think lately it's hard to take other people's word for what is right and wrong. Sometimes you gotta just be like, fuck it. I don't need to listen to your rules. Yeah, rules are helpful sometimes. Boundaries, super helpful. You know, creating safe spaces, but, you know, decide your own boundaries. Don't let other people decide your boundaries for you, because they try to explain away with their mind what's right and wrong. Sometimes you gotta just feel what's right or wrong, you know? Or sometimes you just have to know that there is no right and there is no wrong. There is just being. Sometimes you just need to be. And however you want to be, that's how you want to be, you know? There's a lot of pentacles going on right now. I've been pulling a lot of aces, and I'm just going to say aces are signifying the new year. We really want to start over. A lot of this year was really heavy, and we just want to let it go. We just want to purge that shit. We want to start new, and we want to start new with some grounding energy. I feel like this year, we went in both two very extreme directions. We went from seeing a lot of people disvaluing the earth, not understanding that the earth is so sacred, that the earth and the water and the land, everything that was happening in Standing Rock, seeing how people were fighting so hard to protect the earth, and then seeing them getting pushed back so hard, you gotta wonder, like, okay, the pentacles. Let's talk basics right now. Pentacles, the longest time I thought pentacles were money. I don't like money. I don't know if it's because I'm an Aquarius. I'm very airy. I just want to float around, you know. I don't want to be dragged down by money bags. I fucking hate money, to be honest. I think that comes with being privileged, maybe not valuing it as much. But I think money just is the root of all evil. Let me just say that. I really feel that. You know, I moved to San Francisco this year. San Francisco is all about money. Yikes! Why? The housing market, the tech boom, all that shit. It got me a job. It's true. I gotta be thankful in some parts of it, but it is very traumatic. You'll hear a lot of young people, maybe not the ones that have those types of jobs that are comfortable. A lot of people are uncomfortable. There are a lot of young people uncomfortable with money being the one main goal. You know, you hear about the American dream. It's an older generational thing. New generation, I'm not going to say we don't value money. Money is very necessary if you want to have a roof over your head. But brands, we don't really value brands as much. You know, it's hard to say. I want to say just the extra bougie shit. Sometimes we're just really annoyed by that shit. Like, I don't really value that. I value community, being down to earth. Now that I say that, down to earth. Let's see. Pentacles? Dramatic for me. For the longest time, I wouldn't pull these and think about them because I didn't like facing money. But when I realized Pentacles is earth energy, no, not money. I know it's a gold coin, but it is earth energy. Material. What is material to you? Your body. When I realized, look at this, I'm wearing a pentacle, that pentacles were your home, your body, the earth, that's when I really started connecting to pentacles. I got really into a health kick this year. I became vegan. I went on an anti-inflammatory diet because I had tendonitis in my wrist. I stopped being able to use my hand. I'm a musician. I play an instrument. I couldn't do that. I couldn't play an instrument. I do graphic design. I couldn't use my computer. I was in pain. A lot of pain. And I started to realize, okay, we live in a society that is not really about preventative health care. We're mostly about, you go to the doctor when you get sick, when it's kind of too late. And for me, I realized I need to take care of myself. I need to nourish myself. I need to treat my body like it's sacred, you know, like just like the earth. I got into those two things this year. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people woke up when Standing Rock happened, that we really can't take the earth for granted, because once it's gone, it's gone. We can't reverse it. You cannot buy water. You cannot buy air or earth or fire. You can't buy any of that. It's part of the earth, you know? Once it's gone, it's gone. That's so sad to think about. So yeah, I think we're going to get into a new year where, you know, we're not going to call global warming a hoax and that kind of bullshit. Like, we're really going to understand what is sacred and what isn't. But in order for us to do that, there's a lot of shit we need to let go. I don't know. We're kind of hoarding. We're kind of hoarding something. Negative feelings, anger. I know when Donald Trump became president, we were very angry. I tried my hardest to not be angry. I mean, gotta be angry. I was more sad. I was more sad, and I saw a lot of people being angry, and it drove me kind of away from interacting with people because I understood they deserve to be sad. They deserve to be angry. But we were turning against each other. Yo, why are we turning against each other? We only have each other. We need each other. So, I don't know. This also reminds me of valuing money for the wrong reasons. I think we gotta let go of that. You know, there's a lot of way too many greedy people up in government right now for us to be doing that shit. Like, we gotta get down to earth. We need to know who to hold and what to hold on to and what to nourish and what to give our energy towards, you know. We gotta turn this death card over. We gotta let go. There's something we're not letting go. And it could be the fact that we spent all year waiting for something to happen. I feel like we had high hopes for this year. I think maybe we were waiting around a little too long. This is a lot of people who were like, Donald Trump's not going to win. Like, I'm just going to stand here and I'm just going to be comfortable because I'm okay right now. And then we realized we are not okay. Fuck. We ain't okay. We lost. Yeah, but we gonna be alright. But a little bit of complacency going on right here. I think that got us into a lot of trouble, but it was some necessary trouble that we needed to get into. We needed to realize the kind of trouble we were in. But I think we have a lot of really good energy to use creativity to come forth this year. You know, we're reaching the end. We're reaching the end of a very kind of a greedy, grubby year. Kind of a lot of people kind of shitting on us. And we had the potential to really make it good, but I don't think this year. I don't think we were ready this year. Maybe next year. You know, let's get everything we want next year. Let's hope for that. But we got to put a lot of fucking hard ass work into that. We can't just sit around like we usually do, you know, twiddling our thumbs on our iPhones. Like, we got to get into the community. We got to be leaders. We got to, you know, we got to lead people creatively towards our goal, our common goal. We got to know. We got to know what we're fighting for. Because there's going to be a lot of reminders that shit is fucking hard. And, you know, I got to tell it like it is. We got to know. This year told it like it was. Kept it hella real. And that realness hurt. But I think we're waking up. I think we are waking up. Okay, let's see what the spirit has to say. I think this was a really spiritual year. Spirituality totally turned itself around for me. If I'm going to be honest. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, if I'm going to be honest. I think this is kind of archetypal, or maybe of our generation. I saw a meme that exemplified this really well. It started off with, so anyone who is raised religious, you're raised religious because your parents, more often than not, is because your parents told you to. And for me, I was a little rebellious, for sure. I think a lot of religious kids that are forced into religion become rebellious just by nature. I don't know. People don't like to be forced to do anything. So, you know, I was religious as a child. I was Catholic. I had no problem with it as a child. I didn't like going to church. I thought it was boring. I would probably never listened my whole life, and I went probably 1,000 times, like every single Sunday. But I didn't care enough. I didn't have a reason to care, I guess. I didn't have a reason. Yeah, I don't know. Things weren't as intense for me to like have to go out and like seek something like religion, you know. It was more of kind of a chore, but it was fine. You know, I grew up in an Asian household. I kind of just was very obedient, so I just went along with it. I went to college. And I was like, I don't believe in God. How could God possibly... I was really angry about racism and homophobia, and I decided to blame the church for those things. So I became a hippie, and I was like, I don't believe in God anymore, all these things. Kind of typical, typical adolescent sort of thing. My husband, he's also religious. I think we got into a conversation once walking back from sushi. We had sushi one night, and we were talking about God for some reason, and I think I kind of told him I don't believe in God anymore, and he was really upset about it. And I mean, I didn't really have a reason why. I wasn't feeling it. I hadn't felt compelled in a long time to believe in God. And then this year, I found magic. And thinking that was kind of the opposite of religion, I wear this pentacle, to protect my body. But I know people can think of it as being witchcraft and judge me and think that I look like I'm straight out of the craft, which was my Halloween costume. But regardless, there's some connotation against witchcraft for the longest time that it's evil, that it's against God, or that it's worshiping the devil, and I don't really believe that, but I also don't necessarily disagree with that. The devil was a fallen angel, right? We all fall. We're human. I think more often than not, that's what makes us human. The fact that we do fall, that we're not infallible, that we sin, like that's why we're humans. And if we didn't sin, there would be nothing to forgive. There would be nothing to repent for. There would be no learning process. There would be no coming up from the darkness to the light. Light in itself without darkness, it has no comparison. If you don't challenge yourself, then by default, if you're just living in the light all the time, like, I feel like that's shallow. So, I found God again. When I found magic, when I found tarot, angels started speaking to me, like they never spoke to me before. And it was because I was tapping in. I was tapping into a spirituality that maybe was different from the way I was raised, but I tapped into something that I felt like was super genuine, that I was doing it for myself. I was hearing signs. I was connecting to myself, to my past, my ancestors, to my angels, to God. I was. Serendipity. Synchronicity. These coincidences when you're tapped in and you decide to seek out signs, or not even seek them out, just let them happen. When you are open to receiving, that's God. Like, any little coincidence that happens, that's God. Don't take my word for it. I don't want to tell anyone what is and what isn't God. I studied Buddhism and Taoism, and all that was God to me. It's just a label for being tapped into the universe. The universe is it's silly that we judge people for being new age, for like being into the universe, but it's like, you guys, like, the universe isn't just like this frilly thing. It's out there. Like, there's planets out there. Like, we're not the only planet out there. It's kind of crazy that we exist. Doesn't anybody wonder, like, why are we here? Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, this is not normal. Like, there's something bigger. There's a reason for these things. We're not meant to just be on this earth to trade little gold coins. For what? No, connect with humans. Humans are super unique that we have this ability to think. It's also a fucking burden, but like, don't waste it. Think about it. Okay, so I pulled, I thought I only pulled 3. I pulled 4 cards here. I'll flip them over so that they're facing you guys the way I pulled them in my perspective. So I pulled these 4 cards right here. 2 cards we have already pulled. The Emperor. Pulled it twice. That's gotta mean something, The Death card, reminder. We pulled the Emperor card in the Rider-Waite deck and the Death card both in reverse. In the tarot of the spirit, we pull them upright. So that's got to be a good sign that we're moving towards something. Moving towards something very necessary. So just like I said, that sometimes we got to break the rules. The rules are still necessary. We got to have both. You got to think for yourself. You got to be given all the rules. You got to be given them and then decide which ones you want to follow. Boundaries are super, super important, but only if you decide them for yourself. I really don't appreciate when people just blindly take other people's words for things. It's good to give people advice. It's good to give suggestions, to have, to have people to look up to, that you respect their opinion, but you need to think for yourself. You gotta think for yourself. Oh gosh, every time I pull this card, do you see the colors? Red, white, and blue stars. This is America. 3 of fire. It says here, the birth of light. The birth of light. America. America has always thought that they are number one, the most illuminated, the all-knowing. I'm an American, and I've had very little patriotism for a long time. I don't know if it's because, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm a minority and I often feel ignored, but it's hard because I'm first generation. I'm first generation, raised by, and most first generation children are raised by parents who very much believe in the American dream. They mostly come from countries, my parents came from the Philippines, where shit was tough, shit was hard, and shit was fucked up, and that's why they moved to America, to make things better. And so they assume, no matter how fucked up it is, it's always going to be worse somewhere else, that America gave us the opportunity. Yes, that's true, but we are also the, quote, woke generation. We're pissed off. Things are fucked up. Our country is built on slavery. There's really nothing good about that. There's no way to excuse that. It was just recently Thanksgiving. What an embarrassing holiday, to keep it real. Fucking embarrassing. But, you want to come together with family. That's good. But this here, birth of light, I think America needs to be reborn. We need to extinguish the bullshit that has plagued our nation and then relight that flame. We want to keep it lit, but it has to be the right fire. Cuz right now it's burning us down. It really is. I'm burnt out. I'm pretty sick of America in a lot of ways, but it's still the land of opportunity. It's true. It really is. We have a lot of potential. And as much as we think that it's a violent, oppressive country, that we gotta be real. There are worse countries out there, or there are countries that have it harder than us. So, we still have that little glimpse of freedom that we have control over. And the Wheel of Fortune right here, that's the fact that this country is always in flux. It's always spinning in different directions. There's always different opinions, good and bad, however you connotate good and bad. I don't even want to think of things as being good and bad. We really do live in a melting pot of a country, so there's always going to be so many ideas of what's good and bad. I've been around progressive groups that I feel like were oppressive to me, so I really can't say that the left is right, the right is left, whatever. There's no left and right. It's just all directions. We're always spinning. There's so many different sides to every situation. You can't just assume one or the other. There's always so many sides. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everybody has their own perspective. Everybody's been through their own shit that gives them reason to feel that way. So, moving forward to 2017, listen to each other. Listen. Actually listen. Give people a chance. Don't block people off Facebook unless they're triggering you. I don't like to block people. I like to just unfollow them. I think it's really kind of immature to block someone or unfriend them. I've had people that have really oppressed me, super oppressed me. I haven't deleted them. I've unfollowed them. I don't want to be triggered, but yeah. Find the balance between compassion and self-care and boundaries and rules, all those things. Just find the balance. There's ways to navigate There's ways to navigate all good and bad. It's yin and yang. Yin and yang is not a straight line down the middle. It's curvy, it's wavy, and then it has little 2 spots in the middle that intersect. You know, it is black and white, but it's not all black and white. I am a firm believer in the gray areas of things, the gray spaces, the gray sheeps of this world, the gradients. Because the whole gradient is much more radiant. That's what I say. Okay, let's see. What did I say? Compassion. Hear people out. Even your worst enemy has a reason. And you know, your worst enemies are usually people that have been really hurt in life. They have a reason for lashing out. Sometimes bullies are bullies because they've been bullied. It's terrible that we can so easily outcast people, label them evil, label them bad. Hasn't everyone had fucked up thoughts where you're like, wow, that was really mean. I said something really mean. I thought something really mean. As a defense mechanism. We're very defensive creatures. We're always trying to protect ourselves. Survival of the fittest. So we got to learn to be compassionate. This is my number one. This is what I mean, how many times did I see the word compassion during this video? I don't even know how many times. Because it's not about just compassion for other people. It's compassion for yourself. We can be so hard on ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves for not figuring it out. Not figuring it out fast enough. Not figuring it out good enough. Yeah. And in turn, when we see that in other people, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term traumatic other. Traumatic other is the idea that somebody maybe reminds you too much of the things that you don't like about yourself. Your caterpillar self. I talk about this caterpillar butterfly complex a lot because, especially as being the millennial generation or just being relatively young but still being labeled an adult, I always want to sit at the kids' table still. I don't want to be this like frumpy, stuck-up person like just because I'm older. Like, so that's us getting caught between our caterpillar selves and our butterfly selves. And in the middle is the mind cocoon. The mind cocoon where we're cultivating, we're trying to better ourselves, trying to grow as people, trying to learn. It's really hard. The cocoon is the hardest place to navigate. It's similar to Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. In your astrology chart, it's a comet that was in the sky at the time of your birth. And it's pretty much second puberty. It's the period in your life, in your early to mid late 20s, just like basically your 20s, when you're learning how to transition. It's super hard to transition between being a kid and an adult, especially these days. What does millennial even mean? Why are people always calling us millennials? Like, I don't know, it kind of bothers me. But anyway, compassion. Back to compassion. We're super hard on ourselves because the older generation expects a lot from us. Not to say that they didn't deserve the hard work and everything that they achieved, but I don't know. Society was set up in a way that was kind of just easier for them. It's set up super hard for us. It's really hard. We're expected to go to college and then work in a cafe with a degree. Not to put anyone down who works in a cafe. I'm just saying. And if that's what you want to do, do it. But don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. We just gotta hustle. Like, a lot of us are just trying to pay rent. Like, we can't all just have, like, 401ks out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. What are we even saving for? I'm kind of down to just bounce around for my whole life. I want to explore. Isn't the whole point of life to explore? To try new things? I don't want to be tied down. I'm not trying to settle. I'm married and I'm not trying to settle. Like, I'm married and I want to travel and I want to, but also I'm a homebody. This is where I spend like 90% of my life, this couch right here. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, all these things that rush around in my head, I get to feel bad about because they don't align with society's formula for what our life is supposed to be like. I want to do all these things. I also want to be kind of lazy sometimes. whatever. It's not just because I'm a millennial. Like, we function differently. We function differently because the world is different. Do you know how different the world is? Like, I didn't have an iPhone when I was in college. And I was trying to think about that. Like, I wanted to be a communications major. I didn't really dig it. I decided to become a psychology major. That's kind of why I do tarot. This is my form of therapy. And I kind of thought about it. Like, if I was a communications major in college and I never had an iPhone, like, isn't that kind of counterintuitive? Like, most of what is, not that I know, I mean, I didn't study communications, but what I know is, like, a lot of communications these days is very relevant to the way we communicate, which is through our phones. And, it shouldn't be the only outlet. We need to communicate with each other face to face. Let's not forget. Communicate to yourself. Stop scrolling on your phone. Like, put it down. Think about yourself. Think about your life. It's escapism. It's escapism. We gotta face this shit. Communication through social media is super helpful, of course. Like, what did we achieve with Standing Rock with Facebook? Like, we achieved a lot. Facebook still tried to keep us down, but we know how to do it. And so find the balance. Find the balance between really communicating with people face to face and, yeah, using social media in positive ways. But always remember to be compassionate towards people. Don't be trolls. Don't be so mean on the internet. When did the internet give people permission to be so mean? I don't know it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I kind of avoid Facebook for those kind of reasons. Some areas of Instagram, but YouTube. I've been finding some excellent, amazing, compassionate communication happening through YouTube. This is my first attempt at YouTube, so I hope I find a lot of you compassionate people out there. Not so much of the haters. I'm not trying to get haters. But have compassion for haters. Haters a lot of the time have been hated on. That's why they hate. It's a defense mechanism. So yeah, always, number one, have compassion for yourself and others. Bringing it back to Aquarius. Aquarius, again, getting a bad rap for being aloof, maybe not knowing how to fully communicate with people well, maybe being too harsh with them. This is a good lesson for Aquarius. Hug it out. Find people you feel comfortable hugging and having them hug you and not letting go. Only until it's right. You gotta get the full hug out. So yeah, surround yourself with people like that. Avoid haters. Avoid them. Don't give them ammo. Hopefully they'll find their way through the darkness. And if you're a hater yourself, ask yourself why. Maybe ask the cards why. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn about the things that you hate yourself for that you need to let go of. But yeah, in the new year, I would suggest making some New Year's resolutions on visualizing what you want. But I've been telling this to people a lot too. It's not just about setting goals for what you want. You need to visualize what you want to rid yourself. And I try not to think in negatives, but I think it's very necessary for you to be able to properly purge toxic people, purge toxic thoughts. That doesn't mean deleting them. Maybe purging a toxic person could be helping guide them towards the light. Because everybody has a really dark spot inside of them that they're fighting. Everyone's fighting the good fight. So if the next time somebody's mean to you, just remember they're probably going through some shit. They didn't mean to be mean to you. I recently had an encounter with somebody I wanted to tell off. I really wanted to tell them off, but I'm not the kind of person. I'm very non-confrontational. So I read their tarot cards. Instead, I told them very constructive ways that they can stop being so aggressive with people, and they took it really well. They heard it from the cards. It's almost like they wanted to be scolded a little bit, Because scolding comes from a good place. Most parents, if you have a good relationship with your parent, but you know, early on in your relationship, probably mostly as a child, you resented them for the rules, for maybe the rules they put in place. But for me, I personally, yeah, I felt a lot of that resentment and then came out of it very thankful. Very thankful that my parent instilled this in me. I think I became a better person for it. So, just like those bullies, maybe those haters in your life, think of them as parents. A little bit, unless you have a bad relationship with your parent, but you should always at least hope that they have good intentions. I think intentions rule all. So, I hope everybody has a good end of 2016 because 2016 was shitty as fuck. There's no really good way. Maybe dance it out. Go out dancing. We always put a lot of pressure on this new year, and it never really goes how we want, and it's kind of a drag because we put all this pressure on us, and then we don't always follow through. But just like when you're reading tarot, it takes a long time. Spread out those cards. Leave them there for a little while. Write down your resolutions. You don't have to do all your resolutions in the first month or the first, yeah, you don't have to do them all in the first week, first day, not even the first month. It could take you the whole year. It could take you several years, but at least you put in the intention. Just be soft and compassionate with yourself. Make goals, but don't beat yourself up about the pace you're going at. Just always remember to check in with yourself. As long as you are keeping yourself in check, then you don't have to check off the goals. You don't have to check off them. You have to just check in. Just check in with yourself. Check in with yourself. It's good to have a journal. It's good to have a calendar. Yeah. Have weekly goals. I love having weekly goals, like one at a time. Little ones, little victories. Little victories keep me sane. I beat myself up about big victories a lot because I'm not very good at big victories. I'm good at little ones. Set little goals for yourself, and I think then you'll have a great year. But just compassion. Don't be too hard on yourself. Okay, Aquarius, I'll see you next month. Keep it wavy.